Kawhi Leonard's bizarre career trajectory continues to get more bizarre. Kawhi is currently under investigation by the league, stemming from an incredibly thorough report from Pablo Torre, who seems to be one of the very few remaining true investigative journalists in sports. To give a quick gist of the allegations, Pablo found some potential links that imply that the Clippers owner Steve Ballmer had used a company to funnel $48 million to Kawhi with an incredibly suspicious arrangement. I'm going to highlight the 8 most damning parts of this story to me, but first, I need to contextualize things with a quick timeline. In 2018, Kawhi asked for a trade from the Spurs. He wants to go to LA, his hometown, but there's speculation on which team he'll choose. His uncle Dennis, who is not his agent, does a press tour for him representing him. The Spurs ignore his requests and trade him in the opposite direction to Toronto. But Leonard is a free agent at the end of the season anyways, so after suffering in Toronto, Kawhi is free. Curiously though, Kawhi chooses to sign with the Clippers over the Lakers despite Kawhi forcing the Clippers to trade for another star, which he would have already had with the Lakers. There's 2 relevant factors here. The entire season with Toronto, Kawhi very publicly was scouted by one team, the Los Angeles Clippers. They sent executives to many games in Toronto, and this of course caught public eye. Behind the scenes, what caught the ear of executives around the league were stories that Kawhi's uncle Dennis had been asking the Lakers, Clippers, and Raptors for, as Zach Lowe puts it,
preposterously illegal things,
which sparked an investigation from the league. The league didn't find evidence that the team had obliged, though, and it was dropped, with notes that it could be reopened if evidence was found. Alright, the bad look. Number 1. Pablo Torre has 7 sources in the company that noted they were told specifically this deal is for cap circumvention. But this is hearsay. It's not good enough to get anyone in trouble, but this is not where the bad looks end. Bad look number 2. The previously mentioned preposterously illegal things that Uncle Dennis asked for happened to line up very nicely with what Pablo Torre found that Kawhi had received. Bad look 3. The scale of this contract is ridiculous, and it is one example in the NBA's CBA of exactly what qualifies a deal like this to be illegal. To put it into perspective, the aforementioned sources estimated this deal was 7 to 8 times bigger than every other celebrity payment put together, and that list includes names like Drake, Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert Downey Jr., among others. 7 to 8 times bigger than all of them together. If you want more perspective, it's almost double what his shoe deal is. The next bad look is that the exact amount, not just the scale, but the exact amount that Kawhi receives from this scam company, $48 million, lines up very nicely with the amount that Ballmer happened to invest in the company, $50 million, and coincidentally, the $49 million difference between what the Clippers could offer versus Toronto, where Kawhi had left $49 million on the table to instead go to LA. The 6th bad look is that the contract itself, not just the money, is audacious. The terms mention that he doesn't actually have to do anything for the company, unlike the other named celebrities, and he hasn't. In fact, they never even announced this deal. It was kept in secret. The only stipulation is that Kawhi had to be a Clippers player for the 4 years of the contract. The 7th bad look, and the one that to me erases all benefit of the doubt that you could give Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, Steve Ballmer has already been caught doing this before. In 2015, he was fined by the league $250,000 for promising DeAndre Jordan a sponsorship if he would re-sign with the Clippers. To contextualize that fine, if you have $10,000 to your name, it's roughly like being fined a penny. It's shocking that he might not have learned a lesson there. So we already know that Steve Ballmer is willing to do things like this. And then today, as I record this, Pablo Torre drops what I would consider the kill shot, which is that he has bank statements and internal finance documents from the company that show that not only are Kawhi's payments marked internally as crucial, but after the company was spiraling and out of money, they got a mysterious new investor who put in basically exactly what was needed for Kawhi's next payment, due days later, and that the investor is none other than Ballmer's old roommate, the only other person who happens to own a part of the Clippers, Dennis Wong. And if you thought maybe this investment might have been made in good faith, Dennis just believed in the company like Ballmer did, I think Dennis might have had an idea that the company was in trouble because Dennis's daughter works there. Oh, and the stock purchase agreement clearly states that the company is drowning in debt and legal issues. It's seemingly impossible to justify. It would seem that Kawhi and the Clippers fucked around and Pablo Torre found out. Where it goes from here is anyone's guess. The conclusion of this story is almost certainly several months away. The NBA has hired WLRK, which is a very famous high-tier law firm who also worked on the Donald Sterling and Robert Sarver cases for the NBA. Their investigation will almost surely include what we have talked about here, but they'll also have access to even more since the Clippers will be obligated to cooperate in the investigation, whereas they gave Pablo nothing. Kawhi has just over $100 million in guaranteed money that is now in jeopardy. The Clippers have an already dim future that could get much more dim, and Steve Ballmer is about to really test how much trouble money can get you out of. I don't know how the NBA can avoid absolutely torching the Clippers for this. Not that they haven't torched themselves. There's really no success to invalidate, which makes this all the more sad that they're breaking rules and still can't compete. It would set an absolutely terrible precedent if the punishment is seen as lenient, but it's not out of the question. The MLB was recently embroiled in controversy stemming from an investigation into the Houston Astros, where it was revealed that the team had been cheating. They cheated better though, and their cheating led them to a championship. They, however, got off without much punishment, and the commissioner refusing to take away their championship, claiming it is just a piece of metal, in one of the all-time dumbest statements ever. But who knows, maybe Rob Manfred was getting payments from a tree planting company as well. Of course, the NBA itself was seen as very light in punishing when a ref was caught influencing the results of games for money, so they're no strangers as well. So it is fascinating to see where the story goes from here. The actual full story is crazy, and I suggest everyone go watch it. This was a 7-month investigation from Pablo that is still ongoing. His initial video received a fraction of the views that you would expect from something that has dominated the news cycle like this story has. I would suggest everyone go watch it. It's a significantly more thorough video than this one. It's maybe one of the most important pieces of sports media ever. It features a longer look into the actual company and features what I believe is the only known footage of a man visibly excited to read legal documents.